Absolute Power, issue 2,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Waid writing with Dan Mora on the art. That's pretty good. Chapter 2 of the event. What are you laughing at?
I just thought, it's pretty good. And, Mark Waid, he can write. And Dan Moore can draw. Okay, the next book. That's just, that's what your vibe felt like for a minute, and I thought you were going for
No,
it.
I'm just like I don't know. Okay, I just it's just very good. It's a good event, which sometimes it's rare to find good events in
Yeah,
comics.
you come out of the gate strong with the first issue, and then issue 2 kind of feels like a step down in just pacing and stuff because it came out so hot, but it does some very curious storytelling in the second issue. Because this is what, 7 in the DC fashion. These events tend to be.
I don't actually know if it is 7.
I'm gonna look,
I want to say it's only 4.
only 4. Let's see.
Based on solicits, because this is not lasting past.
You would be correct. It is 4. Looks like the last issue. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's the case. They're not as curious because it's definitely moving the story forward.
Yeah, because actually, to the point you were making, I was going to say that this only being 4 issues means the pacing's a lot more brisk. So this issue, it's the heroes that have reconvened back at the Fortress of Solitude, which was set up in that Superman issue, which tied into this. Like I suspected, you don't really feel like you've missed anything here, but that issue did give some context for like Superman waking back up, whereas this issue just starts and he's back up and Batman just kind of says, hey, that black suit's the only thing keeping you together. And he kind of like, is like, yeah, I'm in pain, Bruce. That's like, okay, that's all you need. But so you did get some more context from the tie-in, but it does flow well enough if you skipped it. So obviously my favorite part of this issue has to be all of the bigger heroes who are here bickering about who should be in charge because we're the strong leader. Wonder Woman stepping in, Aquaman stepping in, Terrific stepping in, Batman's like, what are you talking about? I'm got more experience than you, Terrific. And they're all just bickering about who the right person is to lead. And then just over on the other side of the fortress, Nightwing yells out, can I have everyone's attention? And he's standing with the Titans and makes a big leader speech about how they have to all stand together, about how they're going to survive and beat Waller because they have the determination and the willpower to do so, even without their powers. And the next page is just Batman being like, that's my boy, which really made me laugh. He's like, he's not going to argue with Dick. He's like, yeah, if Dick's taking charge, Dick's taking charge.
I love that too, and the look on Terrific's face is just, he just says, wow. Like, he's never thought of Dick, like, he doesn't even think about Dick Grayson, right? And then so when he says, can I have the attention, and that's what gets everyone to turn around in the speech that he gives, that's real good. Character plot. I do like too that not just Dick Grayson, but the Titans have been central to the last couple events. So right, Dark Crisis, that was about Dick leading the heroes.
A part of it was, yeah.
And then we had Beast World, which was all about the Titans and Dick, and that. So now here, him running point on this, it feels right.
Well, I think more to the point, though, I think that this sells or reaffirms the idea that the Titans became the main team in the DCU. And Dark Crisis was about setting that up. Beast World was an event during their tenure, and this is establishing that even when the rest of the Justice League that isn't actually actively the Justice League right now, but I'm still calling them that for a group name. Like even with them all standing there, Dick still takes charge as the leader of the Titans, and the Titans are taking charge to lead whoever's left. And Dick just starts out saying, okay, this is what we need, right? For some reason, Green Arrow's with Waller, so Black Canary, you're on that. Go and like get him and like slap some sense into him or whatever, right? Batman, the mother box is an issue, to go do that. Superman, go find some aliens and other things in space to help us.
And the multiverse, so they're pulling that in too.
Oh, and the multiverse, true, yeah. So like he just starts dishing out orders, and of course, if anything, the issue I would say gets a little less interesting once the villains all show up and start fighting. That's when it becomes a bit more normal. But these few pages with Dick and the Titans taking charge, I felt like a nice natural evolution in what we're doing in the DCU right now, and it almost makes me think that, okay, this, not that I wasn't confident before, but the way Waid is juggling all these characters in this event is like, okay, he's perfect for a Justice League book. I'm glad he's doing that. That is absolutely spot on. The only thing is, is that, you know, I hope the Titans don't feel like they take a back seat at the end of this, because this feels like a good way that they're sort of saying, hey, they have taken this position at the top of the DC food chain, and I hope it's not just all going to fall by the wayside once we move on past this event.
Yeah, I'm hoping that that's what the rotating kind of cast, the Justice League Unlimited, kind of is so we don't lose sight of that, right? So we can pop up some Titans in playing with these other, you know, more traditional Justice League members. Yeah. And it just feels like they're on, you know, almost like in sports when a player's on loan, right, from another organization that they're close with. I think that'd be real cool.
Well, I mean, it's less about them showing up in the league book for me, and more just about, like, is their Titans book still going to feel like they're the main team in the DCU? And with Taylor not being on the book anymore come October, it does kind of feel like they might be getting diminished a little bit. So, like, I'm kind of hoping that doesn't feel that way, but it's kind of what I'm bracing for. But this, at the very least, though, did feel like a nice next step in the journey that they've been taking over the last year and a half or so. So that's cool. But yeah, villains show up, including John, who has been brainiaced up with tech, which obviously we had that epilogue page teasing that last time.
Yeah.
So
Brainiac Superman, right? We have Cyborg Superman. Now we have Brainiac Superman.
There you go. That's a word for it. You know, it was nice to see Clark feeling like concerned, like realizing that John's been taken. But yeah, so we get a big fight. Some of the heroes do get nabbed. Looks like Wonder Girls get nabbed, Red Tornado gets nabbed. But as the fight progresses, a couple of different things happen. Obviously, there's some Amazos getting involved. Like at one point, who is it that slashes him in half? It's Zealot slashes one of them in half, and he just kind of repairs himself. But the big thing is, though, is Flash doesn't seem to have his speed, but Superman has offered them all the various tools that he's got around, and on top of like outfits that Clark and Bruce made for everyone in case of emergencies, the Flash has also got a hover bike. so Wally's on a hover bike, and he ends up dragging Cyborg John or Brainiac Superman, whatever you want to call him. Keep in mind, the whole time Clark is yelling, "John, you in there? Listen to me, son.
Yeah.
Listen to me. Come out."
He's really trying the compassion, and we see, you know, as they're fighting also the Amazo drones that are coming through, we see Flash grab something like in a box from the fortress, and it turns out that it's kryptonite, and that's how they're going to try to get through to Brainiac. Yeah.
There was lots of box jokes I was tempted to make. I'm not going.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't, because there is a mother box at play. There's a box of kryptonite. You know. Honestly, it was deciding between what's in the box and Dick in a box. I couldn't decide which one to go with it. So Wally ends up dragging John after John's tricked Superman, because John kind of pretends to be John again for a second, but he's just kind of faking it to lure Superman in. One of the things that happens is that Aquaman and Wonder Woman break the city of Kandor intentionally. To release all the mini Kryptonians who are now all flying around like pests, like attacking Brainiac Queen, which is interesting as a concept. Well, think about the people of Kandor. Look up and they see a Brainiac and they go, "This is our time." Right?
Yeah. And what's interesting as well is that Brainiac Queen has had her mind wiped of Brainiac, so she's like, "This bottle city seems familiar. There's something very oddly comforting about this. I might keep this for myself."
I shall. I think I shall keep you.
Yes.
Yeah, just very offhanded.
So, yeah. If I have a critique about the art, and I don't have many because Dan Mora's art is fantastic, I do think the page where Wally like drags John and then it explodes, I do think it's a little unclear in that page exactly like what he did. Ultimately, I just decided, he just kind of like he just jumped off and let it go into a wall to explode to like try and take him out. But I thought he was doing something more meaningful than that. So I was really confused for a second as to what he actually did there.
Yep, I had to go over that page 2 or 3 times to kind of look at, because a lot of the little action stuff to show scale, it's a lot smaller. Yeah. Right. So when you see the bike going to the wall and whatever, you get kind of lost in the chaos.
Yeah. Ultimately, Mr. Terrific, Blue Beetle, and was it Wave? Video Wave? Waveform?
Soundwave, something
something like that.
It's one of the junior JSA members.
Yeah. Basically, they reconfigure the Phantom Zone projector into a portal, basically a boom tube, right? They basically turn it into a boom tube maker. and evacuate what heroes they can that way. The big dramatic thing towards the end of the issue, though, is that Dreamer, of course, has been forced to work for Waller. She's here as part of all this, and she basically sees what's been done to John, sees Brainiac Queen like winning against Superman, and says, "You know what? Enough of this shit. Like, I don't care. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm helping them." So, because Superman actually sets the self-destruct sequence in the fortress, Dreamer seemingly dies in the explosion. It's a whole big thing. So now it's comic books. We don't see a body,
right?
So I'm not expecting necessarily anything to stick
until Waller's holding the corpse of Dreamer like Superman in holding Supergirl in Crisis. I'm not gonna believe it.
Yeah, but she won't be looking as distressed. She'll be holding it with a smirk in her face, like, haha, like, betray me, will you? Haha. For I am the wall.
I'm going to bring you back to life to do this again, just because I can.
So, yeah. Ultimately, John maybe starting to realize who he is a little bit by the end, but Brainiac Queen just grabs him and kind of, like, overrates him again and makes sure that he's, like, kept in line.
Yeah.
So, we got all that going. The little glimpse of hope at the end, though, is that maybe Green Arrow isn't completely working for the bad guys. Maybe he was pretending, because they've tasked him with sort of looking through and cataloguing everything they got from the Hall of Justice or whatever, because he's the only one that'll know what any of it is. And he seemingly finds Our Man's Hourglass. And when he picks no, is it not?
No, this was that in the lead-up special that we read.
Oh, okay.
The time guy, I totally forget his name.
I know you were saying that. Yeah, I assumed this was Our Man's, but fair, that makes sense.
At least that's how I read this. I mean, because of it introducing that in the way that there's something else in here that got introduced. It might have been some of the Dreamer stuff that was introduced in that special as well. So.
No, I mean, not to be fair, given that was in a special leading up to this, you're probably right. But I saw an hourglass and my mind just went immediately to Our Man. But Oliver smiles and says, "Time's up," and that's the cliffhanger at the end of this issue, which implies that he's got a plan, perhaps from the inside, and we'll see maybe what that is. But yeah, so. No, I mean, honestly, it's not quite as good as the first issue, because the first issue was basically just nothing but banger after banger of pages. This, once it got to the fighting, it felt like, okay, we're just in the fighting now. But I did really like the Dick taking charge stuff in the first chunk. I did like some of the details along the way, with, just the little moments of, like, making the portal device, using the Phantom Zone projector. I have to laugh, though. I saw, when I was looking for news before we started, and there wasn't any, but one of the things I did see on Newsarama was a headline that said something to the effect of, "The Fortress of Solitude has been Superman's, like, home for, decades and decades, but it's no more." And all I could think was, but he, like, moved to a new one in the Bermuda Triangle, like, a couple of years ago. It's not been the same fortress all this time. So, like, they're going for this big dramatic headline, "Oh, the fortress has been destroyed." And I'm like, well, yeah, but you switched before.
Just since I've been reading comics, the fortress has been destroyed like 2 or 3 times by different villains. So, Kryptonian crystals can regrow.
Yeah, it's the same.
I'm not that worried.
It's the same with the Hall of Justice versus the Watchtower. Since I've been reading comics, we've flip-flopped between the two of them, like, 8 times, it feels like. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just...
now that we're introducing this time aspect of the hourglass, I don't know of how much of that's going to stick, right?
Oh, like, sure, but I'm not getting at that. I'm just getting that they're sensationalist headline for clicks, like, try to, like, make something sound like a big deal or be dramatic when it's not.
Right. I mean, if it draws more eyes to the comics, cool. Go and read it, but don't just take the headlines. Just be like, hey, I want to know why.
But who's on Newsarama in the comic book section who isn't already reading comic books?
True. But then you have to ask, why are they making that sensational headline? Who are they trying to pull in?
True. I guess there's a segment of people who just go and read the stories because they want to know what's going on, even though they don't read comics because they like the movies or whatever. That's possible. But if that type of person is probably never going to read the comic anyway, if they're already got that attitude. But anyway, yeah, it's a pretty good issue. It's definitely an issue 2. It's definitely lesser than issue 1, but still a solid second chapter. I think Wade's got a really good handle in bouncing all the characters around, which is a really good sign for his Justice League Unlimited book.
Yeah, we've said this with World's Finest, that when he introduces all these characters, he's really adept at spending time between them, so it doesn't feel like anybody's getting lost.
Yeah,
they all
honestly,
feel like,
the biggest story in World's Finest at times, and I do enjoy that book a lot. It's had a lot of great stuff in it, but at times it feels like he's just having fun. So all the stories feel a bit too lighthearted at times. You know, like they don't feel like there's like real stakes to them. This event does feel like it has stakes. It does feel like he's taking it very seriously. So I'm hoping Justice League Unlimited's more towards this, because I don't want it to just be a second World's Finest. I want it to feel a bit more mainline. Yeah,
I just meant on how he balances the characters and perspectives, and who, you know, we spend time. It's not just, you know, World's Finest is a Superman Batman book, right? But, you know, we've also got a lot of Dick Grayson in there, you know, and spending time there. So, and then more. The art, there's a breakdown where Batman uses Sonics on the Amazo, and there's just a breakdowns here, what he does with the colors. Everything is blue or red or yellow. It's just using those primary colors, and it looks really cool. Like, just looking at it as a piece of art, and this book's full of stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff here.
Yeah, the colors are used really well. Like, you know, one panel, like there's one yellow panel on that page, for example, and it emphasizes the pain that Batman's feeling in that moment. Yeah, there's just little things like that makes a certain panel or something pop. You know, when the Flash comes in the speed bike or the hover bike, like it's kind of the only strong red on that page, so he really sticks out versus all the blues and other colors that are there. So it's just smart use. It's just a good balancing of things. Arts, I mean, more is always excellent, and this is by and large excellent. There's that one page where I think the layout's a little confusing and doesn't make it clear what actually happened, but other than that, the reactions on the faces of the characters, you know, from heroic moments to inspiring moments to moments of fear, all the way to the end where Waller's got a smirk thinking, you know, I've got this cinch, we've got 80% of the world's heroes, and we're going to hunt down the rest, and like all of it works really well. It's good storytelling, having a lot of fun with this event. What are you giving Absolute Power issue 2, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a solid 8.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think 8 out of 10 makes sense to me. Yeah.
All right.
Solid issue.